Beauty. She writes all her own songs. She's really the most gifted young female talent around. And so, yeah, it's you just see her and you know that she's an all-time.
People in the music industry really don't like Clive Davis, most of them. And his criminality is kind of amazing.
News of Clive Davis's passing has sparked a wave of reactions, and for some, the biggest heartbreak is that Whitney Houston never lived to watch him answer the criticism many felt had followed him for years. That might sound like a bold statement at first, but once you hear what Alicia Keys revealed, you start to understand why so many people see the story differently. And trust me, this is where things take an unexpected turn. Anyone surprised by that response may not realize how Clive Davis was viewed by certain artists who knew him best, especially Whitney Houston, after she stopped playing by the rules he had laid out for her career.
Shame. Shame on you. Yeah, because, I know.
Just days ago, Clive Davis passed away peacefully at his home, leaving behind a career that reportedly earned him an estimated fortune of nearly $850 million. Since then, the reaction has been deeply divided. While many have honored his legacy with heartfelt tributes, others have argued that this moment forces long overdue conversations that have been avoided for years. Clive Davis was viewed by many as one of the music industry's most complicated figures. There is no question he possessed an extraordinary ability to discover talent, helping launch the careers of some of the most iconic and influential artists the world has ever seen. But that success has always come with a shadow that many people believe cannot be ignored. Critics have long claimed that several of the artists connected to his rise experienced heartbreaking outcomes, while Davis also faced numerous allegations over the years involving financial disputes and other serious accusations. Although many of those claims have been widely debated and some remain unproven or strongly disputed, they continue to shape how many people remember him today. For that reason, not everyone has been willing to celebrate his legacy without raising difficult questions. Even so, several well-known celebrities quickly paid emotional tribute to Davis, praising his influence and describing him as one of the most powerful gatekeepers the music business has ever known. Others stood firmly behind the empire he spent decades building. And you won't believe where the conversation shifted next, because it also revived old stories, including Oprah Winfrey recalling Whitney Houston's difficult struggles and revealing that Whitney reportedly relapsed and collapsed on stage, while Oprah asked those present not to let the story become public at the time. Those remarks have now reignited intense conversations all over again.
Behind stage, and I asked her about her attention. She was clean, but the day she came to my show then to perform in front of the audience, she was not, and she fell off of the stage. And so even though the audience was there and the audience had cameras, I begged them not to put those pictures out because it would ruin her life, and they did.
As tributes continued pouring in, some people online argued that Oprah Winfrey should spend less time celebrating powerful industry figures and more time addressing the controversies that have surrounded her for years, including long-standing questions involving her former school in South Africa. Those debates quickly resurfaced, with critics insisting those issues deserve just as much attention as the praise being directed toward Clive Davis. Meanwhile, Alicia Keys shared an emotional tribute that painted a completely different picture. She said Clive believed in her from the very beginning, when she was only 18 years old, long before most people recognized her potential. According to Alicia, he remained by her side throughout every stage of her career, not in a superficial industry sense, but with genuine belief in what she could become. She went on to say that his influence stretched far beyond music, living on through the countless artists he supported, the dreams he helped turn into reality, and the encouragement he gave to so many people. Alicia Keys has often been described as one of Clive Davis's greatest success stories, and many believe that's no coincidence. After discovering her, he did far more than simply offer a recording contract. He became heavily involved in shaping the foundation of her career, helping guide everything from her debut projects to the image and brand the public would come to recognize. Enormous amounts of planning, investment, and strategy reportedly went into building her career from the ground up. That carefully managed approach kept the spotlight on her music while maintaining a polished and controlled public image. Many observers believe that same strategy also influenced how she navigated fame behind the scenes. Alicia rarely stepped into industry feuds or political battles, and she almost never responded to rumors or personal controversies, including years of speculation surrounding her relationship with Swizz Beatz. Whether that was entirely her own decision, the result of experienced career guidance, or a combination of both, it ultimately became one of the defining traits of her public reputation. Supporters argue that discipline helped Alicia build a remarkably successful and lasting career. Critics, however, believe not every artist working within the music industry received the same level of support, especially those who fought for greater creative or financial control. And with Clive Davis's passing, those old debates have suddenly found new life once again. Adding even more fuel to the conversation, Cat Williams has publicly claimed that whenever legendary artists like Whitney Houston pass away, someone operating behind the scenes ends up benefiting financially, though it's important to note that this reflects his personal opinion and has not been established as fact.
It's coincidental, or you would be hearing who's losing money. In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get killed, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to...
One issue that refuses to disappear is the financial conversation surrounding Whitney Houston's death. Critics have argued for years that Clive Davis, along with others tied to her career and music catalog, continued to profit through record sales, licensing deals, and other business interests after she passed away. That debate has remained active for a long time, and every time Clive's name trends, it quickly returns to the spotlight. Some online discussions have even revived an old blind item claiming that a similar pattern surrounded another legendary artist, Janis Joplin. The anonymous story suggested parallels between the way both careers unfolded, but it's important to remember that blind items are unverified gossip and should never be treated as confirmed facts. Even so, those rumors continue circulating whenever people revisit Clive Davis's legacy, and that's where the conversation takes another surprising turn. Long before Whitney Houston became a global superstar, Janis Joplin was one of Clive Davis's biggest success stories. She was only 24 years old when Clive signed her and her band, Big Brother and the Holding Company, to Columbia Records after their unforgettable performance at the Monterey Pop Festival. He later described her as one of the most electrifying performers he had ever witnessed, making her one of the first major artists he signed after becoming president of Columbia Records. From that point on, he was fully committed to turning Janis into one of the biggest names in music. After the success of Cheap Thrills, Clive encouraged her to begin a solo career. She agreed and formed the Cosmic Blues Band, but that new chapter also introduced a completely different set of pressures. As her fame continued growing, reports suggest she became increasingly frustrated with the business side of the industry. Endless touring, commercial expectations, and the pressure of carrying a solo career reportedly began taking a heavy toll on her. During those same years, her personal life changed dramatically, while her struggles with substance use reportedly became even more severe. Before long, reports claimed that Janis and Clive had disagreements over several aspects of her career and where it should be headed. Exactly how much those disagreements affected their relationship is still debated today, but many believe their professional partnership was far more complicated than it appeared from the outside. As Janis Joplin's career continued reaching new heights, reports suggest she gradually began making more of her own decisions instead of relying so heavily on Clive Davis. At the same time, the pressure of being one of music's biggest solo stars appeared to become even more intense. While recording her second solo album, Pearl, Janis was found dead in her motel room. The official ruling concluded that she died from a heroin overdose, with alcohol also contributing, consistent with her well-documented history of substance use. Even so, her death has remained the subject of speculation for decades. Some people have pointed to letters she reportedly wrote to her former boyfriend, David Niehaus, describing plans to slow down, buy a home in California, and build a more stable future together. Because of those reported plans, some have questioned the timing of her death. However, there is no verified evidence contradicting the official findings. What cannot be disputed is that Janis Joplin's music reached even greater commercial success after her passing. Pearl became a massive hit, and her catalog continued generating substantial revenue through sales and licensing. That reality has fueled a much broader discussion about how an artist's work can become significantly more valuable after their death. Some commentators have even argued that certain stars become worth more financially after they pass away, and have speculated that this could create dangerous incentives. Others have suggested that when an artist has a documented history of substance abuse, it becomes easier for people to assume an overdose, but those claims remain speculation rather than established fact. According to this perspective, some people believe Alicia Keys recognized similarities between the careers of Janis Joplin and Whitney Houston, even though they came from completely different generations. Clive Davis often spoke about how deeply impressed he was after first seeing Whitney perform, and he quickly became one of the central figures guiding her career. He played a major role in launching her self-titled debut album, which became an enormous success, and later helped negotiate her widely reported $100 million agreement with Arista Records. At the time, it was celebrated as one of the largest recording contracts in music history, with reports stating Whitney received a $40 million advance. Supporters viewed the deal as evidence of the powerful partnership between Whitney and Clive. Critics, however, argued that contracts of that size can place enormous financial pressure on artists because advances are generally recouped through future album sales, touring income, and other earnings before additional payments are made. Whitney reportedly believed she could meet those expectations, but many observers feel the weight of that landmark agreement eventually became another major chapter in the ongoing conversation surrounding her career and lasting legacy.
Memories, because you don't forget it. I heard about this young, stunning, beautiful singer who was appearing in her mother's act, and it was a club called Sweetwater, and I went down there. And she was singing backup with her brother for her mother. And then she stepped out to do 2 solos. And the hair on your arms and the tingle goes up your spine. And it was an amazing, of course, it's an indelible experience.
Whitney Houston wasn't just a superstar. She became one of the most successful recording artists in music history. With more than 200 million records sold worldwide and tours that reportedly generated tens of millions of dollars at the peak of her career, she reached a level of success few artists have ever matched. But according to many critics of the music business, the story became far more complicated after her widely reported deal with Arista Records. As the industry entered the digital age, album sales across the business began slowing, with record labels frequently blaming piracy and changing listening habits for the decline. During that same period, reports suggested Whitney still had financial obligations connected to advances and other commitments tied to her recording contracts. Like many major record deals, those advances were generally recoupable, meaning artists typically had to earn that money back through album sales, touring, and other revenue before collecting additional royalties. Critics have argued for years that agreements like these can place enormous financial pressure on artists, although the exact terms of Whitney's contracts have remained the subject of public debate. And believe it or not, that financial discussion only grew louder after her passing. Following Whitney Houston's death, renewed attention turned toward questions surrounding her finances and music catalog. Some reports claimed outstanding contractual obligations could influence how future royalties would be distributed, while others questioned how much of the revenue from her catalog would ultimately reach her estate. Those claims have been widely debated, and many of the details have never been fully confirmed. Even so, critics continue arguing that the music industry often places greater financial value on an artist's catalog after they die than while they are still alive, though that remains a broader criticism of the business rather than proof of wrongdoing in Whitney's case. Whitney herself had spoken publicly on several occasions about wanting a healthier, more stable future. Friends and fellow artists have also shared stories describing her hopes of slowing down, finding peace, and rebuilding different parts of her life. Those reflections make what happened next even more heartbreaking. In 2012, Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. The Los Angeles County coroner officially ruled her death an accidental drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use listed as contributing factors. Since then, numerous alternative theories have continued circulating online. Some commentators have questioned parts of the investigation, while pointing to claims made by individuals such as forensic pathologist Cyril Wecht and private investigator Paul Hubel. Although those claims have received significant public attention, they have not changed the official findings, and there is no verified evidence establishing that Whitney Houston's death was the result of homicide. Even so, the case continues to spark debate, with some believing important questions remain unanswered, while others accept the official conclusions as the most reliable explanation of what happened.
Surveillance video from the Beverly Hilton, where Houston was staying when she died in February, that supports his story. Contrary to the coroner's conclusion that her death was accidental, Hubel claims that Houston's body shows classic defense wounds consistent with someone fighting for her.
One of the most talked about moments happened only days before Whitney Houston's passing, and it still raises questions today. During an interview featuring Clive Davis, Monica, and Brandy, Whitney unexpectedly appeared and reportedly slipped Brandy a handwritten note. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Some viewers believe they can also hear Whitney telling Clive and Monica that she had almost drowned twice before, a remark that has continued fueling speculation and debate ever since. Another incident that still divides opinion is Clive Davis's reaction after Whitney Houston's death became public. While many people at the event were reportedly devastated and in shock, several accounts claim Clive remained calm and insisted the celebration continue as originally planned. He also invited a number of guests to honor Whitney with tributes during the event, a decision that many have praised while others have strongly criticized. Adding even more controversy, long-standing claims have circulated that Whitney's body was not removed from the hotel until after the party had ended, so the event would not be disrupted. Those accounts have been repeated for years, but different witnesses have described the timeline differently, and many details surrounding what happened remain disputed.
Minority. Because if you knew Whitney better, you knew she was not there to perform.
Yeah.
This was her favorite night of the year. She came out every year. This party was so part of her.
So you're saying that she would
that the family, we spoke to representatives of Pat, who was a manager, and Gary, who was her brother.
Her body was still upstairs.
But we dedicated the evening. Whitney would have wanted this party to go on any more than the Grammy.
And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. You know, I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously, and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how.
When you step back and look at the full picture, it's easy to see why opinions about Clive Davis remain so divided. Some critics have argued that the way he spoke about Whitney Houston often sounded more like a discussion about business than about someone he had worked with and known for many years. In their view, many of his decisions reflected an industry where commercial success sometimes took priority over an artist's personal well-being. Supporters, however, strongly reject that criticism, pointing instead to the countless opportunities he created and the legendary careers he helped build. Over the years, numerous rumors have also claimed that Clive knew more about the circumstances surrounding Whitney's death than the public was ever told. However, no credible evidence has ever confirmed those allegations, and that's an important distinction to remember. The official investigation has never concluded that Clive Davis was involved in any wrongdoing related to Whitney Houston's death. Even so, those theories continue spreading online because many fans still believe there are unanswered questions surrounding Whitney's final years and the immense pressure she faced throughout her career. What cannot be denied is that Clive Davis possessed a remarkable ability to recognize extraordinary talent and help shape some of the biggest stars in music history. At the same time, his legacy remains one of the most debated in the entertainment industry, with critics continuing to question the influence powerful executives can have over artists' careers, finances, and creative freedom. And that's exactly why this conversation refuses to disappear. As people continue looking back on both his achievements and the controversies that followed him throughout his career, the debate surrounding Clive Davis's legacy is likely to continue for many years to come.